Welcome, Lady Teebz, to this primer on voice acting and Southern accents. I've recruited you because I know you're a fantastic voice actor. I'm a big fan. I'm looking forward to more of your work, and I wanted to get your opinion on and your input on how to do some things within the voice acting world. Thank you so much for being here with me today.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so happy to be here with you.
Of course, of course. And just so everyone can see, we have a lovely Lady Teebz here of Southern Moonlight on YouTube. You specialize in Southern accents, correct?
That is right. Yes. I'm from a small island off the coast of North Carolina. So that is kind of my natural accent. And so I've leaned into it for a voice acting kind of tone. So it's been really fun to work with.
Amazing. And then, so right now you're doing ASMR work and generalized voice acting, correct? Is there anything else that you're getting into or looking to get into?
Correct. Yeah. So I'm just kind of working with different small little roles as far as like with friends or things like that. I'm looking to get into maybe some sort of game voices. That seems to be where I would fit in, I think. But for now, I'm doing comfort audios with a Southern accent just to give people the warm fuzzies when I can.
And so you had mentioned that your Southern accent was because of like where you're at geographically. Did you want to branch further into Southern accents because of you're already like predisposed to them, or was it more of a natural shift into that voice acting spectrum?
Yeah, so I do have classical theater experience. I do have my degree in general theater. So I have been an actress since high school and have always really enjoyed that. I ended up meeting a community of voice actors who started talking about how the Southern accent was both an attractive accent and a difficult accent to master. So I went, oh, well, I can do that. Like, and so I just kind of accidentally found my niche. So
That's so
that's kind
cool.
of how I started. My accent that I use in audios is quite a bit different than how I sound with my family, and obviously different than how I sound right now. But yeah, that's how I got into it. That's why I decided Southern was going to be like my thing. But yeah, my accent is just kind of because I'm predisposed to it. Yeah.
Nice. That's really cool. And then, so your accent right now, is that like your stage or like out in public accent?
Yeah, I would say this is like my general accent I would use in, just a general American accent, I think is what you would call this.
Yeah.
My mom is kind of from up north, my dad's from down south, so I just kind of met in the middle there, I think, with my accent I use daily. But yeah, if I kind of slide into like what I would talk to my family like, it's a little bit different and you can hear
Oh,
it just a little bit subtly. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. When I slide into it, it's there, a little bit more of a lilt, a little bit more diphthongs. And you can hear some of the words I say have that little bit more slidey quality to them.
That's so cool. I was not expecting that. That's really cool. Okay. So then as far as like voice acting itself, is there like one misconception people have about voice acting?
Yeah, I think people think that they have to do all these different impressions, for example. Like they're like, oh, I have to be able to pull out a Boston accent out of nowhere. And it's like, well, but do you? Like, what does this role require is
Right.
so much more important than having all of those hats or like all those things you can pull out of a hat, I suppose.
Right. That's really cool. And then are there any mistakes you made when you first started that you would probably avoid now?
Yeah, so I think when I first started, I just wanted to do what other people were doing.
Mhm.
And sometimes that wasn't something I was actually drawn to. Like, I do like the Southern Comfort audios, but like, I'm probably not going to do like a super duper flirty one again just because
Right.
that's what someone else does? It's
Okay.
like, I want to stay true to myself and how I would talk to people and not in a overly, how do I say this? Commercial way, maybe? Like
Okay.
what people expect or want. I want to stay true to myself more and then find scripts and projects that allow me to do that.
That's really amazing. And that's something I find in content creation, like across the board, where people are often, they find themselves copying, not copying, but maybe echoing other people and other creators they find inspirational and not realizing that, they have like the set of skills and they're really good at this one particular thing and they should really lean into it. And it sounds like that's what you're doing. You've found it so early, which is amazing. Like, not many content creators can say that.
Well, it's actually, I mean, it's interesting you say that too, because I think you and I have talked about this behind the scenes a little bit, is that
Yeah.
like I never thought voice acting was going to be my thing. I thought it was going to be a knitting YouTuber. So it took me a while to get here, but I'm glad I'm here now. And as far as in the voice acting space, yeah, I guess I found my niche early there.
It's interesting that you decided to like veer away from the knitting because you have a background in theater. This almost seems like a more natural fit.
It does, but also I also worked a lot with costuming in theater.
Oh,
So
okay.
in a way, I thought I was doing something related to my degree, but now it's kind of gone a different direction. So it
Okay.
always works out in the end, you know?
Yeah, you'll find a way no matter what. And then just going into voice acting does not equal doing just a voice. Like you kind of mentioned the Boston thing, where like I DM for like Dungeons and Dragons and I like fell into a Boston accent for a dwarf one time and my players were like, what is happening? We rolled with it, it was fine, but like clearly it's not just doing a voice, right? From my research I saw it was like acting first, consistency, and then there's like some physicality to it, like how you hold yourself when you speak. Do you have any more to add to that?
Yeah. So I come from a classically trained theater background. So as far as like any character I would do first, there would be a lot of research that goes into it. So for example, like if you are doing someone from up north, like you might decide, okay, they are from Fargo, for example, and then you're going to look at, okay, what do people from Fargo specifically sound like? Then you research where in the mouth the voice comes from, and you might not be able to find that easily. So you're going to watch people. So there's so much research that goes specifically into the character themselves. And then from there, like the accent and how they'd hold themselves and how you stay consistent with that. So exactly like you said, like acting first, research of the character, research of their intentions, their motivations. And I always try to find like a one word thing for a character of like, what is their driving force and what is their biggest fear?
Okay.
And when you have those in mind, and this would be great for D&D as well, absolutely.
Yeah.
When you have that in mind, all of your decisions are based on that. So if you have a fear of being left or, being alone,
Mhm.
your voice can portray that. You can have that desperation when someone's trying to leave you, where if that's not a character's driving force, you don't lean into that as much. So
Right.
the acting definitely comes first. And then consistency in the accent, consistency in the voice, nailing down those things that you want to focus on with that, and then the physicality of the actual character, how you hold yourself, how they would hold themselves, that kind of thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that's really cool. So, what would you say beginners usually get wrong about voice acting?
I think that they probably fill their portfolio with like lots of different accents that they kind of half ass. They're like, okay, I can do, this general
Yeah.
Canadian accent by just saying a bunch. It's like, well,
Yeah.
okay, like, okay, I got it, bud.
Okay, bud.
But if you're actually trying to, yeah, exactly. I can say sorry a lot, get
Wow.
halfway there. This is not me reading Alice at all, by the way.
No, no.
But yeah, I would say, yeah, they go into those auditions like, okay, I'm going to pull out my best Jim Carrey impression or whatever. And it's like, okay, but where in the world would you need to be Jim Carrey for a
Yeah.
character? Like, and then just, I think a clean demo is like really all you need. If you don't go in with it, with that, kind of what are you doing, bud? Like, just get it together.
Okay. All right, sounds good. We'll explore a little bit more about demos later. For now, how much would you say voice acting is like true like traditional acting versus technical skill?
So I think it depends on what you're working on. If you are
Okay.
going to have to record all your stuff at home or, be the one to edit your content, then that is technical skill.
Okay.
Editing, recording, those are skills that you can grow and develop. But then the root of it is, to me, is always going to be acting. It's like actually the intentions of the character and leaning into that and doing your research. So I would think it really depends on the how much you have to be included in the recording aspect.
Right.
So for me, it's like 50-50 with, making comfort audios because I have to
Yeah.
record them, then I have to edit them, and then usually I have to re-record them 2 or 3
Oh
times
no.
because I'm a perfectionist. No, it's okay. Yeah, I would say about 50-50, or if you're in a position where you're just doing the voice, maybe not so much the technical skill.
Okay. That's really cool to know. And then do you think someone can like succeed without a unique voice? So say like just some Joe Schmo off the street. Can they realistically succeed if they apply themselves, do you think?
I do. I think there are so many different times that companies, places, businesses need different voices for
Mhm.
that. As long as you have a voice that is pleasant to listen to, I would say. then you could make it, because we need things for like accessibility reasons, or for example, or like, when you scan something at the supermarket and it says bananas 3.99, for example, like
Right.
we need things like that.
Yeah,
So you
exactly.
can have just a Joe Schmo for something like that. It works. So a unique voice is nice if you're going into these character roles, but they're not always needed.
Okay. No, that's a really good insight to have too. Like, I guess I never really thought about that. I always sort of thought of like the lady who voices like Commander, like Commander Shepard from Mass Effect. She
Mm.
sounds unique. When I hear her in other things, I always know it's her because she's got like this unique voice. But that might also be like a downfall sometimes, I guess, because comparing against like someone like Matt Mercer, he's in so much, and I like half the time I don't recognize his voice until someone's like, "That's Matt Mercer." I'm like, "Oh my god, like what?"
Oh yeah, absolutely. And so it is nice to have kind of one of those chameleon voices sometimes, because you can get a lot of roles that way, Like if you
Yeah.
kind of sound like everyone, or you can make yourself sound like anyone, that's awesome. A super unique voice is great. But yeah, then you're going to be like, "Oh, that's Lady Teebs from that one thing doing Lady Teebs again."
Right. Can you just show us? Can you read a line without acting and then do one with acting? Show off for us?
Absolutely. So I think the best example of this is Shakespeare. I don't know how much you enjoy Shakespeare or have heard it live, but I feel like Shakespeare's really, really boring if you don't have someone who knows what they're talking about acting it out. Like it's a completely different animal when you're in that position.
I have
So
heard that
I
said.
have a line from Taming of the Shrew. And basically, this line is Catherine comes up and is called Kate. So the line without acting is, "Well, have you heard, but something hard of hearing? They call me Catherine that do talk of me." And that's it. You reading that, that's all it says.
Right.
But then when you understand the what is actually going on in the scene, she's pissed to be there. She doesn't want to be there. She's annoyed with this guy already. And so she's like, "Well, have you heard, but something hard of hearing? They call me Catherine that do talk of me." That's just an example. She's like, "You are not allowed to call me Kate. My name is Catherine. We do not know each
Right.
other like that."
Yeah.
So it's one of those things where like you can get that inflection across way better with acting than just reading it straight.
That's really cool. It's like so cool to hear the difference too because like as someone who doesn't act, like I can like perceive it, but like I wouldn't have thought to like do it two different ways personally. Since your specialty is Southern accents, I know there's a lot of Southern accents, like, just from, like, the ones that I sort of looked into, like, there's regional variations, like you mentioned, like, there's Texas, which you mentioned to me before. I've heard Appalachian ones, which are bonkers sometimes to me.
Uh-huh.
I've heard, like, Deep South and, like, Louisiana, and then I guess a lot of it's, like, rhythm versus pronunciation, and then, like, a balance between speed and melody, like, they sort of, like it's almost like a seesaw of which one is, like, more prevalent in the accent, is that right?
Yeah, I definitely think you could say that. So I wouldn't be able to like sit and name all the different variations and their different quirks, but I know, for example, in my comfort audios, I tend to do more like a Texas accent, I think. I go for more like a Southern Belle type of thing, where specifically where I'm from is like fishermen, people that were very alienated for long periods of time. So the accent that I came from is much closer to English, like European British than
Oh,
most places in the world in the
okay.
US. So that's one reason I don't use it very often, because it's kind of hard to understand at times. I've had people in my life visit my family and be like, I didn't understand a single word your aunt said."
There's
Um,
no way,
and I can,
what?
yeah, oh yeah, it's thick. I was listening to some today, and it's so thick. So for comfort audios, I do try to do like a slower, more lilty sounding voice. And then Appalachian, for example, has R's in it, and I like never pronounce R's in my Southern accents, just because I think it sounds pretty.
Yeah,
And then yeah, if we want to go into like Louisiana, that comes from the French, and so
right.
it's a way completely different accent. And
Yeah.
that's something I'm not even going to touch at this point. That's going to take some training for sure.
That's fair.
It does not come
Yeah.
naturally to me.
No, that's fair. So what would you say makes a Southern accent sound authentic versus cartoonish?
Yeah, I think really it's because there are so many different types. Like when I
Mhm.
listen to one, I do usually listen for just consistency. Like if you don't pronounce R's half the time, but you do pronounce it the other half of the time, that's where it starts to sound silly to me. Like, it's just a committing to that. If you sound like Foghorn Leghorn, for example, like, that's gonna be lean a little bit more cartoonish, we've
Right.
got a Knives Out situation going there. But yeah, so I think to not sound cartoonish, it's really just committing. So, like, for example, when I lean into my Southern accent a little bit, I immediately slow down. I start lilting a lot more, and I don't pronounce any R sounds. You can hear it. It's just like an ah
Wow,
instead of an R.
yeah. So pretty.
Oh, thank you. But then I can give you a taste of like my normal accent. Like this is what I would say sound like talking to my family.
Okay.
So it's not as pretty. It's not as voice actory, but this is like what I would really sound like if I'm talking to the folks.
That's crazy. I love it though. It sounds so good. It's a really good accent.
Thank you. I love it too. And then, yeah, sometimes people like exaggerate things too much.
Yeah.
So when I help people with their Southern accent, I always say to slow it down,
Mm.
melt into the next syllable, and don't let your foot off the gas. Like if you're driving a car, you are just cruising. So anytime, here, let me see if I can give an example. If you're talking to me like this, like, yes, this is a Southern accent, but it's not necessarily like a pretty one, I would say slow down, melt in, like deepen it up a little bit. And I've got my accent now kind of behind my molars. And it just makes it a little bit easier to keep it like that if you just think about where it is in your mouth. Have you ever heard about like vocal placement as far as accents go?
I think I've heard a lot of critiquing about my Canadian accent because I speak a lot from like the front of my mouth, and
Mm-hmm.
that's what people say about me. That's all I've really known about it though, to be honest.
No, it's cool though, and I think that's why it's so nice to like watch someone as far
Mm.
as like how to learn an accent. If you see how people move their mouth, there was a YouTuber I used to watch who was also Canadian,
Oh.
and she talked like right behind her front teeth.
Oh,
And
really?
so I learned how to do her accent really well because it was
Okay.
incredibly enunciated and very front of mouth. It was so
Oh,
fun to learn.
that's weird to
Um,
hear. Like to hear you
isn't
switch
it?
it up like
Yeah.
that. That's so cool.
Yeah, so you can move it all over. I can really move my voice to the back of my throat and it's just like a completely different sound
That's
and
crazy.
I'm not doing anything besides like moving it back. Yeah.
That's crazy. That's so cool. So it definitely would you say it's like a mix of mouth placement, pacing, and vowels, or more mouth placement?
I would say it's definitely a mix of all three.
Okay.
And then as far as because yeah, if I think about it, when I'm doing my Southern accent, like the one I use in comfort audios,
Mhm.
it's on the right side of my mouth, in between my molars, and I have to kind of melt into each thing. So my jaw has to be loose. And yeah, so like it really is all three. And then
Okay.
it's just if you're writing your own scripts, adding simple language and adding like those y'alls, ain'ts, things like that, things that would authentically be said in a Southern accent.
Okay. That's really cool. And then would you be willing to show us the same sentence with like a soft accent, a heavy accent, and then like a foghorn leghorn accent?
Yes, I can try my best.
Okay.
Um, so a soft accent. Let's see. Oh, I like this one because you got a lot of Southernisms you can throw in. I can't believe you have a dog. Would be like no accent or
Okay.
standard American.
Right.
Um, I can't believe you have a dog. Would be soft.
Okay.
Um, I can't believe y'all have a dog. That's like really deeping it back there.
Yeah.
And then I can't believe y'all have a dog, where it's like really up and down
Oh my
would be the
god.
the cartoony one. Yeah.
That sounds almost like a comedy character out of, like, a Southern Belle movie, like a I can't remember what they're called. A satirical, like, Southern movie is what that last one sounds like it's
Yeah,
from.
and I mean, and the cartoony accents I think have a place, like, too, like, if you are doing that stereotype like, I've known women that talk like this, like, it is a real accent, it might just sound a little crazy. So, yeah, I think there's a good place for that, like you said, like a satirical kind of jokey one, it's perfect.
That's really cool. And then so we sort of covered a lot of that. How about how to learn an accent without sounding bad or cartoony, I guess, as they may say? Again, from, like, limited research, I've heard there's, like and you sort of mentioned this already, listening versus mimicking how someone's doing something.
Mhm.
recording yourself and then, like, listening back to how you sound, and then, as you already mentioned, studying real speakers. Is there something beginners should practice to, like, keep their accents and their voices protected when they're trying voice acting and accents?
Yeah, I definitely think, doing things to protect your voice as far as like not straining it, having milk, like dairy products, like right before you talk, like makes you sound mucusy.
Yeah.
You can do things like having tea right before you record if that helps, warm up your vocal cords a little bit. And then as far as like practicing safely, I would say just try and keep your voice as healthy as possible. I won't go into like, don't smoke or anything like that. But if voice acting is like the thing you want to do, like that might be something you want to consider,
Right.
um, just because it can impact your voice over time. So yeah, like, and I just think just record, record, record when you're practicing. You should get sick of your own voice at some point. Like, just be able to articulate what things you want to change and think about that the next time when you listen to your recordings. And that's helped me a lot.
Nice, okay. And then as far as, like, listening to other people, are there, like are movies and TV shows a bad reference, or can there be good ones?
There can be good ones, yeah. I would say
Okay.
just be picky with that. So, for example, like, I've used the example of Josh Brolin in No Country for Old Men because I
It's a good
know
movie.
he did like an awful lot of research for that role. That's a deep Texas accent. And he said something about calling people in the area that he was going to, be portraying a character in
Mhm.
and just talking to anyone that would answer his phone call,
Oh,
basically.
wow.
So he was getting like, yeah, he was getting like a very specific accent for a very specific place
Mhm.
and just calling people and talking to them. So
Wow.
I would, think that's a good way of,
Yeah.
learning. Not everyone can just call somebody and
No.
expect them to talk to them for a long time. So, you know, Josh Brolin put in the work. You can, copy him and it'd be okay. And I've used like Red Dead Redemption 2 on
So
YouTube. They
good.
have slew of recordings
Yeah.
of like all the voice lines. I would trust that, I think, as well. So
Yeah.
just be careful, maybe don't use Foghorn Leghorn as your one true North Star for
Right.
your accent
Yeah.
training. But yeah, like as long as you're careful and think about how much went into the role, I don't see a problem with it.
Okay, that's really cool. Do you think it takes long to sound believable, or is it, like, a shorter time frame to learn?
I do think it just takes consistency and what's the word I want to use? A commitment to getting good at it. Because you can practice and just say the same thing over and over again
Mhm.
and, think you're there. So as long as you're consistent, as long as you put in the effort, it can be a shorter time frame. Yeah, I'd say like if you got a call and you have an audition the next day and you need to learn an accent by then, just put in as much work as you possibly can before that audition, and then get notes and practice afterwards if you get the role. It's not exactly a time frame. It's just like a commitment to being good at it and doing what
Okay,
needs to be done to
nice.
improve. Yeah.
Okay. No, that's good. That's really good to know. Because 'Cause I'm sure some people might be like, "Oh, it'll take forever to sound good," versus if they just apply themselves and practice, like you said, they might sound better sooner, right?
Yeah, exactly. And so if you want to only spend 15 minutes of accent practice a day, yeah, it's going to take longer. But if
Right.
you sit and do like 30 minutes at a time or hours, you only speak in that accent like some actors do before a role, before they when they take on a role, I mean, you can do wonders in that time frame as long as you're disciplined.
Nice. Okay. And then are there any tips you'd like to share with beginners or warm-up techniques or accent notes?
Yeah. So, as far as ASMR artists go, most of us use tongue twisters to get warmed up, or, I personally like to record in the evenings just because my draw is kind of a warmer, deeper voice. My voice has been able to be working all day, and I have like a reverberation quality at the end of the night. So, I do like things like that. You can do red leather, like those kind of different
Oh,
yellow baby
wow.
buggy bumpers over and over again to get your tongue moving. And I mean, like everyone uses those. We use those in theater. It's, it's great. And there's all sorts of resources you can find for specific ones. But also, as far as accent notes, there is a website called the Dialects Archive, and it has bunch of US, or I'm sorry, not US, English speakers of different accents. So you can find a
Oh,
Jamaican accent on there, you can find a Czech Republic accent on there, and just listen to them talk. And they're, native speakers. They'll say how old they were, all different things like that. And it's
wow.
a gold mine if
Yeah,
you're
it
like, I
sounds
need
like
this
amazing.
specific accent.
That sounds like an amazing resource to have.
Yeah, absolutely. Dialectsarchive.com.
Amazing. We love that. We love that. And then we'll go into like gear and setup for people, especially like beginner friendly setup. Do you have any recommendations for an entry level mic, recording space basics, and then for your cheap software for people to use?
Yeah. So I personally have a Mac, so that comes with GarageBand. I have found that fine for me. I know other people use free resources and have no problems with it. People on YouTube that have lots of people listening to them use free software, and that works just fine. I would say just an external mic. Don't try to use the mic built into your Mac or your laptop or anything like that, or your phone mic. Mine was like, I think $30 on Amazon or something, nothing crazy.
Wait, this
Um,
one right now?
and I think that, yeah, the one I'm on right now. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, okay.
How
If
do
you
I
can,
sound?
you sound amazing. So I'm sure someone would love that. If you can give that to me, I'll put it in the description too.
Yes, absolutely. But yeah, it comes with a pop filter, which is also important. And then this one has you can change the gain on the bottom of it too, which is good because, if you've got background noise, you can kind of bump that down a little bit. So as far as like a minimum setup, I would say an external mic, free software. I use GarageBand, but there's lots of others that are just fine. And then a quiet space with sound dampening. I personally use my closet. Right now, I'm in an open space, so it does sound a little bit different.
Okay.
Are you good?
Yeah, I just sitting in a closet. I never thought of that. But do you have like clothes in the closet that sort of like dampen the sound or?
hmm
Oh, okay.
Yes. So
That's really cool.
yeah, I just have like my closet, my messy closet, with clothes around me, door closed. And then at times when I had an older laptop, I would have to put my laptop outside of the closet and close the door and just have the cord running under because the fan would kick on.
Oh
Um,
no.
yeah. So yeah, that's another thing you'll learn about editing your own stuff. We'll go into that later, I think. But yeah, I would
Amazing.
just say a quiet space with sound dampening. Some people use like small rooms, small closets, and then add noise canceling, like padding or something like that.
Okay.
I have not needed that yet, but at some point we'll probably put some on the back of the door. But yeah, that's what I would say is like your minimum: a mic, cheap software, if not free, and then a quiet room.
Okay. I have heard of people putting blankets over their head. Is that a thing? Do you know?
Mhm.
Yeah? Okay.
Yes. So I have a friend who does not have a closet available to record in. So they have like I think they put like a chair and they just have like a tent basically in the corner of their
Okay.
room that's like covered in
Amazing.
blankets and pillows. And they said it's really hot, but
That would
that is
be
their recording space.
that's really cool. That's so even cheaper way to do it
Yeah.
than guys without you don't have a closet, you probably have a blanket and a chair.
Yes,
Uh,
exactly. Make yourself
um,
a little blanket for it. You'll be good to go.
Amazing. So then with all that said, what would you say matters more, a microphone or your space that you record in?
I would really say it's dealer's choice. If you know you don't have an ideal space for it, then maybe it is better to get like a slightly better mic
Okay.
because you need that extra noise cancellation. You need to be able to really hone in on your voice. Where with me, where I know I have like a good closet that I can work through, I can go for a cheaper mic. So it's one of those things where also it's probably harder to have a good space to work in, or maybe more costly, and then that mic can be bought later on. A more expensive mic can be bought later on. So nail
Mhm.
down the space, choose your mic from there, I would say.
Okay, that's really good advice. I always tout like starting within your financial means and then sort of growing from there. Like the last thing you want is like spending money on like $1,000 microphone and then you don't have a good recording space for it and you can hear everything anyway, despite all your noise cancellation
Exactly.
that you have through software. Yeah. What's one purchase that you regret as far as like getting into voice acting?
Yeah. So far I've been pretty good. I've only bought, a pretty cheap mic. I did buy a Mac thinking that kind of that was industry standard. And now having friends in the space, like I realize that is not at all the case. Like almost none of them have Macs.
Oh
That
no.
was a lie I was taught in the theater community, working on lights. No, I'm kidding.
Oh
But it's
no.
fine. And I enjoy my Mac. But now that I want to game with you guys, it's
Yeah.
becoming an issue.
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard to get those Mac gamers in there for sure.
So really gaming is what is the issue. No, I would just say, yeah, use I don't know. I really genuinely thought that you had to have like something perfect for sound recording. And I don't really think that's the case. I think the mic matters way more than the actual like computer does.
Okay, that's good to know. Because there's people out there who might have like machines that like maybe can't run like an amazing game, but they would work well for just like some audio software, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Nice. So then we'll move into theater auditions and typecasting, which you're more familiar with. Can you tell us a little bit more about like what theater auditions and typecasting look like and how that might tie into voice acting?
Absolutely. So I think typecasting has like a bad rap sometimes, but I've found it to be really a powerful thing in the space as long as you understand where you fit into that. So as far as auditions go, you would have some sort of resume, you would stand before someone, recite your monologue, and then, maybe be asked to do a small scene with someone. There might be callbacks, and then you would find out if you got the role or not. So, from what I understand, voice acting is similar, where you would submit some sort of demo reel, perhaps say a few lines that the character would say to make sure you sound good, and then maybe you would also have some sort of interaction with another voice actor to see how you two sound together. For example, if I was voice acting with my sister, she
Right.
and I sound pretty similar. They might not want to have two people that sound so similar together in one production or
Right.
one game, for example, because it would be like,
Mhm.
okay, who's talking right now?
Right.
You want that distinct thing. So that sounds like it would be really similar for voice acting as well. And then to go into typecasting, I was told by a theater teacher that I would be the funny best friend.
Oh no.
That was my typecast. Yes.
Oh,
Never the ingenue, which is fine.
of course.
Or the
Oh.
one that was wildly in love was something another acting teacher told
Oh,
me.
really?
And I just thought that was so interesting. So I think, so for example, if I was going to go to an audition, I probably would not audition for an orc. I probably
Right.
wouldn't audition for
No, I
a
don't think
really
you get that
gruff
part.
sounding role.
No, definitely not.
I also probably wouldn't go for the one that sounds like they're really young, for example. Like I just understand the warmth in my voice and that I
Mhm.
also sound a little bit deeper. And I think that's valid and helpful typecasting
Yeah.
to know where to audition, where to look. So you're not wasting your time, you're not wasting other people's time when they're asking for a different sounding voice. Like it's nothing against the person auditioning. It's just that they're looking for something that you don't have the ability to do necessarily without extreme amounts of effort.
Right.
And this should be fun. It shouldn't be something where you have to like really stress to do this crazy sound all the time. If I did take the orc role, am I going to be sounding like this all day? Like that's not
It's not
that's not
feasible.
like conducive. That's not fun for me to do.
Yeah.
So no, understanding your type is helpful. And so if you get, good quality acting coaches, if you've ever had the opportunity to work with anyone like that, or even just your friends, like, okay,
Mm.
if you were to cast me in a role, what kind of role would that sound like? Or is there a character that makes you think of me? You can ask
Right.
those questions to your friends, and that kind of typecasting can be really helpful.
Yeah, because then you sort of know what roles to apply for, right?
Yeah, and also kind of hopefully those are also roles that interest you
Yeah.
because sometimes it is your acting ability as well. An acting teacher was trying to be nice, saying you're the one wildly in love because I have a really sincere quality to my acting where I get really, you know.
Yeah. That's so cute.
So
Because I can
oh,
picture you. I can picture you and being like, so yeah, it's adorable. I love it.
it's a very sweet thing to say, and knowing your type is just super helpful. And then as far as building a demo goes, because I see that's our next point, it depends on what you want to go into. But what I've heard as well is like having a narration bit of your demo. So, you just reading, maybe narrating a book. If you want to get into commercial works, maybe you're narrating like, some fine print or, steps that would need to be taken if you want to do captioning work or something like that. And then maybe a character. Then you would have your character that you're doing that fits your typecast and that you maybe are wanting to audition for something similar to that. Maybe you have two contrasting characters. So I would do a serious one, badass kind of character, and then like a more bubbly, airheaded one. That would be
Right.
a good diverse thing to put on my demo reel. And then you want to edit that down to be like a minute. Like they don't need to be very long. You don't want them to be too
Oh,
long
wow.
because you might think like, oh, I'm showing them all that I've got. No one's going to sit and listen to
Right.
10, a 10-minute demo reel when they have to listen to 500 of them. So
Right.
yeah, it's just being realistic, getting your point across, having your best work in front of someone in a very short time period.
Nice. Okay. That's really cool. And then do you have any advice on how to network with other voice actors?
Yeah, so you and I have talked about this before too, and you've
Yeah.
said in some content that you've made, it's really like a collab opportunity sometimes. I was very lucky. How I got into voice acting, because we didn't super duper go into that. I think I kind of glazed over it.
Yeah.
I met a friend who was in the voice acting community. I thought he was really talented, ended up making friends with some of his other viewers, and then just from that was able to connect with him, and now we're friends. So I got
Yeah.
lucky in that way. Don't be weirdly parasocial, people.
Yeah.
Have similar interests with people.
Yeah.
I was able to make connections with an artist that I found interesting, and he was able to help me find my niche. He was able to encourage me in that way.
Oh, that's cute.
And that made me think like, oh, voice acting seems pretty fun. If
Right.
this wild, crazy person can do it, I can give it a shot. It's just, I think, being kind, it's being level-headed, and it's
Mhm.
seeing that the person you're talking to, the other VA, is just a person like you are, just
Right.
doing their best, that we
Yeah.
all have things to learn from one another, and to listen when they do have advice for you, because if they've been in this space longer or, maybe even work a different demographic, they have
Mhm.
interesting things that they can teach you. And that's where I think it's really important is to network, learn, keep an open mind, be kind, don't be weird. Basically,
Yeah.
just don't be weird.
Don't be weird. And then also I actually just like did a short on like lazy collab invitations from like a content creator as like a VTuber side, where like sometimes you'll
Mhm,
get DMs where it's like, "Hey, want to collab?" and that's it. Like there's no further context. And I think it's important that you get to know the person, like you said, and you
mhm.
you build some rapport before you start like asking if you want to collab. Like I've known you for several months now, and I've known you voice acted for a while, and I was like, I really want to do this, but I'm nervous. But, like we had that report, so it made it easier to ask that in the end, right? And I think that a lot of people should keep that in mind when you do want to do some collabs or some networking. It's good to build those foundation blocks first.
Oh, absolutely. I think that's super important. And having common ground with someone before you swoop in with, "Hey,
Yeah.
I need you to help me with this thing," or, like, because this is obviously super fun, and I'm so happy to be doing this with you
Good.
because I
Good. I'm
adore
glad.
you.
I love
Because we're
you. You're so
here.
much fun. Yes, we're here. We're doing it. We're doing the things. And then everyone who's been around me knows that I love telling everyone about you. Your social media presence. You finally made a YouTube channel. What else would you recommend for voice actors or actors in general?
Yeah, so I would definitely say a YouTube channel is great. I also have an Instagram as well because I also do some fiber arts that connects me to other VAs.
Nice.
So, if they're looking for that voice actor, they might find me as well. And
There we go.
so it's just a fun way to, yeah, I'm connected to their community. I actually had a lovely person today reach out and be like, "Hey, did you know you can shorten your your YouTube handle on your Instagram? That it looks cleaner." It was
Oh,
just someone
wow.
I met as like a fellow fan. It was lovely. Um,
Nice.
yeah, I thought that was so sweet. Yeah, having your social media presence. I personally like YouTube and Instagram. Eventually, I'll do TikTok as well, but I cannot be trusted on TikTok. I just
Oh,
start
no.
scrolling. I lose
It's
hours.
difficult. It's difficult.
But yeah, I think that's super helpful just because you never know where someone's going to find you.
Right.
What I'd like to do is eventually is add some of my demo stuff onto Instagram as well. So people that are just kind of scrolling through might happen across me, might click on that YouTube link, and then there you go. Bing, bam,
There you
boom.
go. You found you. And you never know where someone's going to find you. It's important to get your name out there. They tell you to put it
Absolutely.
everywhere. Don't burn yourself out on social media, but like if you have the time to dedicate to like 2 or 3, I'd say like as a general like content creator rule, like at least dedicate your time to those 2 or 3 media platforms that you can really like push content out into so people can find you.
Oh, absolutely. And I've definitely followed your lead on that as well, because I know that's where you've been putting a lot of focus lately. And so I've been kind of watching you and thinking about how I'm going to do that for VA work as well.
Oh no, that's amazing. Thank you. And then some quickfire advice. Do you have one thing that you recommend people practice daily?
I would just say, speaking clearly,
Mm.
doing not mumbling, really. If your
Oh.
goal is to voice act, like that's going to be one of the biggest things. If you think you're someone who kind of
Oh.
slouches and mumbles, that's not going to do you any favors. Oh,
Don't look at me.
they get the scary eyes for a
Yeah,
second there.
I'm so bad for mumbling.
Yeah, so I would just say try to speak clearly.
Okay. What about one bad habit to drop?
I would say, vaguely anything that impacts your voice in a negative way. Anything that would, harm your voice or, if you're going to concerts all the time and screaming at the top of your lungs, things like that.
Yeah.
That might be something you try not to do very often if your goal in life is to be a voice actor.
Right. That's valid. And then one free resource you love.
Yeah, I would say that dialectsarchive.com would be like a
Nice.
huge, huge bonus. There's also tons of YouTube videos too about accents as well. And as long as you found someone who is either a dialect coach specifically or someone who is from that area, I think that can be super helpful. So YouTube in general.
And then is there one thing you wish you knew earlier in your acting and voice acting career?
Really just I think people have the impression like, oh, I'll never be able to do that, or no, I
Mm.
could never get there. Why not you?
Mhm.
Why can't it be,
Exactly.
you that makes it? No, nothing saying you can't.
Mm-mm.
Just do it. Just do it, Nike.
Just do it. Nike it up. Exactly.
Nike it up, exactly.
Amazing. So we're coming to our final thoughts. Overall, it sounds like voice acting is learnable. Accents are
Mhm.
skills, not gimmicks. Don't whip out a Boston accent when you're playing a dwarf in D&D. We want consistency
It sounds
over
like it worked
talent.
out for you. It's in
It
the
did.
lore now.
It's the lore. In my world, all dwarves are from Boston. Don't. It's weird. We don't. It's fine. And then consistency over talent. Would you say those are all accurate? And was there anything you'd like to add?
I definitely think you're spot on with that. Voice acting is learnable. It is something that you can grow over time just by being intentional and by
Mhm.
really being, just really thinking hard about what your character would say, how they'd say it, and how their mouth would look and feel when they say it.
Nice. And then, what would you tell someone who's afraid to start, like getting into voice acting?
I would just say, again, like I said, why not you? There's very little to lose as long as you don't do the things like buy a super duper expensive mic.
Mhm.
Maybe don't do that. Start within your means and then just try. Just give it a shot. I mean, don't quit your job.
No.
Be smart with it. Don't put all your
Yes.
eggs in one basket, but give it a shot. It's fun. It's enjoyable. There's lots of people you can meet and fun you can have along the way.
Amazing. I love that. And then, where can people find you, Lady Teebs?
I am on YouTube as Southern Moonlight, and you can find me there. I will have more stuff coming for you soon, as far as like my demo reel. I'm hoping to get up
Mm.
there. Probably do some narration soon. I'm hoping,
Nice.
and then some Southern Comfort audios coming your way.
We love it. Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate the time you took out of your evening to do this with me. It was really fun. I was glad to talk with you a bit more about like your passion and your love of voice acting. You're really good at it. I'm looking forward to seeing what you do and what you come out with. And I am probably number 2 fan. I know you've got You've got Viper out there, probably number 1 spot, but I'm very excited to see what you do.
And now that we're shouting out Viper, she was the one who
Yes.
had the idea for Southern Moonlight. She's
Oh, really?
fantastic.
Amazing.
Yes, it's a subtle, Sailor Moon, reference because it's SM, like Sailor Moon.
Oh, okay.
She and I have bonded over our love of Sailor Moon when we were
Nice.
youngins.
Yes.
But yes, I love Viper with my whole heart. She is Violet Viper VA on YouTube, I believe, and she's going to be working on some stuff for us as well.
Nice. I'll throw a link in
But
the description too.
Alice, you are fantastic. I've been so lucky to meet you on this journey, and thank you so much for having me. This was an absolute blast.
So much fun. Thank you again. I hope you have a lovely evening, and thank you, everyone. Don't forget to follow Lady Teebz at Southern Moonlight on YouTube. There'll also be a link in the description for the website that she mentioned, as well as for the lovely Violet Viper. And if you have any questions, throw them in the comments. Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.
Bye.